Matt and I will sip some haterade and fire up the drop-o-meter one last time in 2024 on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino. You can find me on Twitter at DonMartinoFB. Here, as always, with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew Ane, and you can find him on Twitter at Matthew_Ane. If you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly, truly appreciate it if you could do that for us. And if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It will subscribe you to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode. And lastly, and most importantly to Matt and I, guys, give us a chance on the Subtext platform. Through Subtext is an in-depth personalized experience, offering so much more than we can in this 30-minute podcast. And as we shift into the off-season mode, we're going to be having so much fun on Subtext. You know, we got lots of fun stuff coming up. So make sure you check that out. Link in bio. Booking.com. This episode is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your baseball rivals. Book today on Booking.com, the official accommodation partner of Major League Baseball. Get the Booking.com app today. And Matt, you know, it's kind of sad almost, actually, as Matt, if you're watching on YouTube, guys, Matt has his haterade out. He's sipping on it already. Last time in 2024, you know, I was thinking about it, I was just writing an episode, and last time for the drop-o-meter in 2024, brother. Any thoughts, feelings, opinions, comments?
My feelings on this year is this is the worst injury year of my entire baseball career. Also, screw you, Dom. He beat me in the championship because I couldn't buy a hit on Saturday or Sunday. It
was a tough week.
It was. I smoked Dom all the way up until Saturday morning, and then Dom came in like Big Bubba in the night and said, do you want a Schmeat sandwich?
Shout out to Julio Rodriguez on that one. I told you guys. Now, actually, real quick, I think we kind of buried a little bit of a lead here. We got to give a huge shout out to one of our listeners. I actually made it to the championship in the listener league. I fought as hard as I could, but Mr. John Delaney actually took me down. So, John, huge shout out to you. We will get your hat out to you ASAP. And you know, Matt, I think this is free. I think this is just, we're gonna say it. You could correct me if I'm wrong here, but John, you are more than welcome to come back and defend your title in the listener next year. So you have earned a spot next year. So we already have one spot down. I think Matt and I sharing the team. I think we come to conclusion that we're going to do it that way. So there will be 10 more spots available. We'll be talking about that in off-season. We'll have some fun games, ways to get in and stuff like that. So just make sure you're locked on. We'll talk about that more. But Matt, I have a fun name to lead off the episode with. I know we've been talking a lot here, so I think we should just get right to the nitty-gritty. Matt, on Soto on the Droppable meter?
Yeah, so that's a hard pass. I even was giving Dom some snuff and some guff.
Yeah, this was more of a little clickbaity name.
Yeah, I mean, like I can understand over 2 weeks. The last week kind of monstered it off, but here's the thing, right? So like, do not feel like you have to hold on to him either, because if you're playing in this week, it's kind of a fair thing, right? So I'll spin it. I'll give you smack. If this was last week, I'd smack Dom across the face for even bringing this to the table. But for this week, you know, if Juan Soto, they decide to sit him for the rest of the week, because this is possible, drop him.
Big thing too.
Like, I don't care at this point. If I'm in a redraft league and I'm stuck and this is the scenario I'm in, then he's going. He's getting gone, because I gotta get a player that's going to play this week. So we should know by Wednesday if he's actually going to play the rest of the week. So not many days left, and it is what it is. The Yankees pretty much clinched a playoff spot. It's just a matter of seeding at this point. Yep. You know, you better pray that the teams behind them keep winning so that he can keep playing. Otherwise, Lord have mercy.
Yeah, Matt, I think you made a great point. I think I'm going to take a second here to talk about this. Guys, if you are playing this last week, please pay. Yeah, that is facts. But if you are, pay attention to the lineups That's one thing that's going to be key for you this week. I know there's going to be a lot of players sitting. There's going to be a lot of starters that don't pitch on, that are on winning teams. So monitor that. I think we might even do a midweek type episode if we kind of get wind of what a lot of guys are doing and a lot of guys aren't starting, to update you guys and let you know who is starting, who's going to be on the bench. If we got enough names for that kind of episode, we might throw that in this week. But for Juan Soto, it's a 0 on the Dropometer. It's just a fun name. The reason I did want to talk about him is the knee issue, which is the Yankees definitely could sit him. In the last 2 weeks, he's 10 for 43 with 11 runs, 2 homers, 6 RBIs, a steal, batting .233. As Matt mentioned, he's definitely been better over the last week or so. But, just a name that be cognizant of what the Yanks are doing with him. So let's move from one Yankee to another. Let's talk a little Jazz Chisholm. Jazz Chisholm comes over to the Yankees from the Miami Marlins and just starts hitting like a house on fire. And honestly, that's the kind of guy Jazz is, right? He comes in, hyped up, New York, let's go. But, once again, proves just he's the same guy we always knew he was, just hot and cold. Jazz is never going to be a guy that hits 300 or even 280. He's going to be a 250-ish hitter, pop, speed, and in that Yankees lineup, he's definitely going to be good for runs and RBIs, but he's been cold of late. The last 2 weeks for Jazz have not been great. I really hope he can pick it up in the playoffs as a Yankee fan, but 7 for 42 for Jazz over the last 2 weeks, 4 runs, 1 homer, 4 RBIs, 4 steals are nice, but the 167 batting average is really holding you back. The only category he's helping in at all is the steals. The 4 runs, 4 RBIs, 1 homer are not helping you. I'm not saying drop Jazz. I'm saying put him on the bench. Probably would not be starting him. They got the Orioles coming up for 3 games, a 3-game stretch here, it looks like. And, Baltimore's got some good pitching. So just want to be aware. Jazz Chisholm's probably more of a matchup guy. I'd say a 2 on the Dropometer because I'm not really dropping a guy like Jazz, but I am going to monitor the matchups and just kind of play him more resty fit.
So like for me, he's kind of like an everyday player. I don't care. He just hit for a nice game the other day. He's streaky, and this could be the beginning of the streak. I'd rather start him than have another player on my bench do the same production without the upside. So like that's kind of like my take on Jazz.
I hear it.
The only way I'm not starting him and I'm dropping him is if he's, pretty much hurt. Then I'm just going to say, see you later. He's another guy that's at risk. Same thing with Juan Soto that they clinch it, they're done, and they're not playing anymore. Yankees right now are up 2.5 games on Cleveland. But, there's 4 games left in the season, 5 games left in the season now that we're on Tuesday. So, they win about 3 more and the game's over. So that brings you into Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And Saturday, Sunday, he's not playing. So I'm probably dropping him Friday night and just moving on. So it is what it is. He's not like a drop it like he's hot, but he's definitely a drop it. But this next guy here, Luis Arráez of the San Diego Padres, he for me wasn't even just a drop it like he's hot. He's a don't even draft, but I got to hit the drop.
Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
So he has one job. And he can't even do his one job, and that is hit for average. Okay. This last week, he's hit 200. Okay. You started him all last week, which you shouldn't have because he shouldn't even be on a fantasy roster. You were disappointed. Okay. The one guy that had one job that all he does is hit for average couldn't even do that for you. And what are you going to do? Padres, they're fighting for third, but honestly, too, he's probably going to sit most games anyway coming into this weekend because they're not going to beat out the Phillies and they're not going to beat out the Dodgers for first place. It's just not happening. So Arias is probably going to end up sitting come by Wednesday, Thursday anyway. So statistically, they're going to be out of it. And, they're not going to start him, even though he's absolutely useless. What's he going to do? Get you a couple runs and bag you 250 by the end of the week? Yeah, whatever. See you later. Drop him like he's hot.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. No, I'm with you on Arias. I wouldn't do it. I'm not a fan. I don't think he's irrosterable. I think there's situations where you could have him in onlys, stuff like that. He's just a tough one for me. He hits leadoff. I'd probably have him at a 6. If Luis Angel Acuna's out there, I'm definitely making that move. If there's second basemen that are producing,
and he'll play to the end.
Yes, he will. Exactly. I added Acuna in a spot, he was available in going into a championship this week. But Arias, cut him. But with that being said, we have a couple more great hitters. I'll give you one of them, Adolis, Garcia. And then we get into our starting pitchers. What are we doing with Justin Verlander? Those names and more coming up next.
Passion, drive, and patience is the formula for winning championships. It also keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, style, eBay Motors has you covered with over 122 million parts. Your ride or die will always find exactly what you're looking for. And eBay with guaranteed fit for your parts, guaranteed fit or your ride or die every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car an MVP and bring home wins. Keep your ride or die alive with ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions may apply. eBay's guarantee fit is only available for U.S. customers. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have you had to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all that screaming. Stephen A. Smith. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or free on the Amazon Fire TV channel app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Introducing the Locked On Fantasy Baseball Podcast, Diamond Club on Subtext, your ultimate fantasy baseball companion. As the season unfolds, rely on our dynamic content. Get real-time alerts right to your phone, including waiver wire rankings, instant call notifications, injury reactions, and a whole lot more. Stay ahead of your fantasy leagues by joining the Diamond Club on Subtext, where your path to victory begins. And guys, season's almost over. If you're playing this week, which you shouldn't be, sorry, you'll need us. You get the free 2 weeks, take advantage. And then, we turn around right after this week and we're going to be hitting off-season stuff. Keeper questions. Who should I add right before the season, starts? What is my team's outlook? How should I prep? All this wonderful stuff. You can ask us questions. Rankings should be coming out in the next couple weeks. A month for me, maybe a month and a half.
I got my top, I think 50, or I think I got up to 60. Then my top 60 starting pitchers. I'm going to preface it like this though. You got to ask for them. I don't think we're just going to send them out to everybody. If you're on our subtext and you want to ask for them, and then we'll get something sent over to you. Because it's a work in progress. I just don't want to send it to everybody and then have to answer a million questions to everyone. Oh, why is this? It's a work in progress. So if you want to just take a look at it and just use it for your own sake, feel free to ask. If you're on subtext, I'm just going to leave it at that.
Yeah, I'm going to try and figure out a nicer way this year to come off and hook up the views and all that stuff. But anyway, there's a whole bunch of off-season stuff that you don't want to miss out. Honestly, if you're watching now today, the way to win next year,
get ready now.
Just get ready now. Like, there's a reason why Dom and I every single year end up in the championship, if not win. In this case, last 2 years, Dom, screw you. But this is how we do it. We prep. We constantly do it. It's not because we have a fantasy baseball show. It's literally because we're just on top of our stuff. The second the season ends, we reevaluate everything and go. So doing that here, I'm done talking about subtext, but doing it here starting now, go. Dom, back to the show because I've just loved talking today.
Yeah, let's just jump back in and talk about Randy Arozarena. He went over to Seattle in the trade at the trade deadline from Tampa Bay, and it's been a mixed bag for him, especially, over the last 2 weeks, he's done absolutely garbage. 4 runs, 1 homer, 6 RBIs, no steals, batting .205. The weird thing is that Seattle's been playing better. So I don't know how he's just been in the middle of that lineup hitting 3rd and 4th and just Seattle's still been playing better. He's a tough one for me to go to Houston and then Oakland. Neither team has a spectacular starting pitching, so I think it's might be a maneuverable thing, but I'm not at this point in the season. I'm not banking on a breakout. Randy's 92% owned. If you play in a 10, 12-man league where there might be options or anything shallower than that, I'd probably move on. Anything, shallower than that or anything deeper than that, you might not have those better options on the waiver wire at this time. So don't know if I said it 6. I think 6 drop-o-meter Randy Arozarena, just because he hasn't been producing, and I just can't wait. I can't wait this time of year. Be like, oh, he's going to do it on Sunday. No, come on. Get me somebody who's hitting. Watch our waiver wire episodes. We did a great job covering it, yesterday. So just check that out if you need some names.
Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
I'm out. He sucks. I never. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But he's a full-blown drop. He's a full-blown drop. Sorry, if you're not watching.
I'm sorry, folks. If you're watching on YouTube, I lost it. I'm sorry.
I tried to do a full-blown impression of somebody I mentioned earlier. But no, I've been done with a Randy. I've never really seen the real poise to have him for fantasy. There was never, other than a 2020, upside. The team that he was on, never really enticed me to see more. Now he can't even be successful all year, and he's even in a better situation where you should have a rejuvenation of wanting to play, and it's just whatever. For Randy, he's burning a roster spot. Honestly, I may not drop him because I'd rather have him on my bench going off than on somebody else's team going off in front of me. So he's more of I wish it was a bench him like he's hot, but he's just a flat out bench. And the only time I'll roll him out there is if I have an off day at this point. Randy Arozarena is just not playable for me, and I'm not risking to get the biscuit on this one. This next guy here, Adolis Garcia of the Texas Rangers. Another guy I'm just whatever with. I definitely can't start him. I kind of can actually. Let me rephrase that. His last week wasn't bad. So he's about a 5. If there's better options, which there isn't, you're going to play him. He has 3 runs, a bomb, 5 ribs, batting .292 on the last week. He does that this week. I'm pretty happy. He did his job. But if I have better options or there's a hotter hand out there, I'm going to play them. That's the thing, right? He has the opportunity to go off anytime. You catch him on a hot streak, though, and you're pretty much I'm screwed. So he's just full-blown keep. And he's a full-blown, if I have a better option, bench. If not, you're going to start him. You have no choice.
Yeah, Adolis Garcia is tough for me. I know he's been better of late. Honestly, the way I look at it is really only 2 good games. He went 3 for 4 on September 20th. He went 2 for 4 on September 17th. He did go 1 for 4 with a homer on September 18th. But normally, when Adolis gets hot like this, you see the homers come in bunches, and then after that, the last 2 games, 0 for 4, 1 for 5. Like Matt said, just some of these guys, it's tough to drop them because then your opponent picks them up. It's going to suck to watch them go off on your opponent's team. I think another 6. I think I'm going to say 6 on the drop-o-meter. Matt, you prefaced the great, better options. Add them. If you can't, he's got to ride your bench, unfortunately, because just to name that, if those home runs start coming in bunches, they get Oakland. Texas Rangers are at Oakland and then at the Angels. Oakland's more of a pitcher's park, but the pitching for Oakland isn't great, and then LA is just tough. That's just a shit team. They're just not good. So Adolis Garcia might take advantage of that. He's got to be a bench, probably a 6 on the drop meter. Get those. If there's better options, you can go for it. Let's get into the starting pitching though. Let's move on to Justin Verlander. This is a fun name, man, because you know what? If you haven't been paying attention, he's still 65% owned. A 5.55 ERA with a 1.40. Oh yeah, Matt, you said it. Gross. That's disgusting.
Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
A Big 10 on the drop-o-meter for Justin Verlander. And guess what? He gets Cleveland, one of the better teams in the game on the 27th. I'm out. I'm so sorry. I'm Justin Verlander. I'm being mean. You've been great to me over the years. I've had him in fantasy. He's got me championships. He's, brought me a lot of fantasy glory. But I think it's just time to hang him up. I think he's got to throw those cleats up and, put him up in the rafters. I'm out of Verlander.
Yeah, so he's gone one season too long.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly said.
I don't care what he did for me in the past. I only care about what he's doing for me now. And quite honestly, I guess that's the millennial in me. But get out of town. Get off my roster. You're only going to hurt me. The only way I actually start him or even anything else is if I'm at the end of the week, and that's when he's starting. And players that I would start, then I therefore have to do it for strikeouts. At least you'll get that with Verlander. Other than that, you're just pretty much just dropping him out like it's no problem here. But guys, coming up next, not only does Dom have to read something, but we got the rest of these pitcher names, awesome names like Mitch Keller, Jared Jones, Walker Buehler, Taj Mahal, Bradley. What are we doing with them? Are they drops? Are they not? Are they even worth pitching? Letting them pitch this week? I don't know. You'll find out right after this.
Explore those U.S. cities you always secretly wanted to and learn more about other baseball cities. Maybe it's time to taste test your baseball competition stadium cuisine. Luckily, on Booking.com, you can find the stadium stay that's just right for you with Booking.com's wide variety of choices across the U.S. You can go incognito to all of your baseball rival cities. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your baseball rivals. Once again, that's Booking.com. Booking.yeah. And then we're talking about our friends over at FanDuel. When you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place all your bets at FanDuel.com. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Guys, real quick, with the NFL going on right now, there's so many great bets on FanDuel. The Giants, Malik Nabers went crazy. Love him. He's been going off. I like all bets on him going into next week as a Giants fan myself. So I would take all those that you can. And once again, you can do that on FanDuel.com. All right, Matt, let's hop back into it. You have this next guy queued up?
Yeah, I do.
Go for it.
Sorry, I'm laughing inside baseball, guys. There's been a few mistakes. There'll be some minutes. Mitch Keller. This is the guy that's up. So he's been bad. I don't know how to play baseball bad. So he's a full
Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
If you can't tell, I'm being silly today because it's the end of the season. But
we're having fun, guys. I'm keeping you entertained.
Yeah. So he's got a 21.6 ERA on the last week, a 10.61 over 2 weeks, and over the last month, a 6.93. If he's not already off your roster, what are you doing? You're probably not playing this week. That's probably what you're doing. You're probably off thinking about something else. And that's whether you're smart or not. I don't think you played last week for that matter. But my guy got lit up against Cincy, Kansas City, Cleveland, Chicago, San Diego, Dodgers. This is that's what, 6 out of his last 10 that I just read off. Come on, man.
6 out of his last 8 have been
bad. My guy has to just get going. Mitch Keller, I'm a big fan. This is no indictment on him. It's more of just he's never ever been successful for a full season. It's always little stints. This is that stint where, I needed to not only just chuck him off my lineup, but I needed to go full-blown Uncle Phil, where I'm throwing jazz out the front door type deal. So, Mitch Keller, get out of here.
Yeah, I'm with you, Matt. It has to be a 10 on Keller. You can't throw him out there at the end of this week. I know it's against Milwaukee. Milwaukee's not a great team, but I'm not putting my season on the the heels of a Mitch Keller start. I just can't do it. You can't talk me into it no matter what. Mitch Keller is. I wanted to say he's notoriously a first half guy, but as I look at it, he's notoriously better in the first half. I can put it that way. In the first half, for his career, Keller's a 4.34 ERA. Second half is a 5.03. In the second half, he's actually under a K per 9 for his career, where in the first half he's right at that K per 9, and the whip is better in the first half too. So he's better. I won't say he's good in the first half, but he's notoriously better than he is in the second half. Always falls apart, no exception this year. 77% owned on Yahoo. A few years. I know Matt said everyone that's out there might not have it. There's 1 or 2 years in the championship week that are making the call on Mitch Keller, and if you're listening, guys, get him out of there. Let's move on to his teammate. Let's move on to his teammate. Let's talk about Jared Jones. Jared Jones, up and down year, young, has good stuff. Excited about the prospects of him next year. But for this year, I don't know if I want to throw him out there. Another guy that out of his last 5 starts, only one good one, and the one good start for Jones was against the Washington Nationals. Got rocked at Cincinnati, got rocked against KC, the Cubs twice. So 70% owned. I can't see myself starting Jones in anything other than the deepest of leagues. But I am excited about him next year. He does have good stuff, a good whip on the year, over a K per 9. I'm excited about him next year. Can't start him this year. Can't start him this week.
Yeah. Agree. Jared Jones, next year's outlook looks great. The fact that he's 23 throwing 97.7 miles an hour is super great. Hopefully the offseason they could teach him how to just, get more movement on his pitches and the kid could actually be really successful. Probably a top 40, top 50 pitcher next year.
Real quick, man. Do you have it in front of you? How many is this his career high in innings? I want to go out on a limb and say that it is. Actually, I'm pulling it up as we speak.
I got it.
No. Actually, no. So not really. He's right at the amount of innings he threw last year. So I don't even want to say it's fatigue, which is a little bit surprising for.
He is coming off
stuff. Maybe it's just go for it. Sorry.
He did have the injuries this year, so I guarantee it's playing a part. It's probably sore. I mean, a guy that was really successful for that first month and a half and then gets hurt, and he was out for a good chunk of change too. I just can't see him not continuing to be successful. You don't forget it. I think if anything, injury definitely plagues you, especially when you're 23 and you're performing like that in the bigs. It's very hard for the downfall to come that quickly, even if the league figures you out. But yeah,
and I'm with you on that for sure.
But all right, let's move on. We spent a lot of time, and also I'm just being really wonky today. Let's talk about Walker Buehler of the Los Angeles Dodgers. He should have been dropped weeks ago. He's not even a full-blown drop like he's hot. This is kind of a reminder, get him off your roster. Playing the Padres is a real game. They're trying to take the first place point right out from under them, truthfully, and at least go for the bye. So, they're going to play some serious baseball. Manny Machado is definitely somebody that's going to be tough to get around. That whole roster is pretty tough.
Pesky.
Yeah, I'm just not about it. Walker Buehler also hasn't been great over his last couple starts. Colorado hit him around, even though he had 9 strikeouts. Maybe if you just need strikeouts, maybe then it's worth it. Other than that, I'm not. But handled Atlanta, but then got lit up against the Cubs. And then, had a couple decent back-to-back starts, but then couldn't handle Seattle, couldn't handle Milwaukee. Buehler's just so up and down. I don't think he's a this year pitcher. He might be a value pitcher for next year. But for this year, I'm not risking it for the biscuit. It's time to take home championships, time to make tough decisions. I'd rather him blow up the other team's ERA than have him on my team.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. I'm probably at about a 10 on Buehler here. You nailed it. 56% owned. That's why I wanted to talk about it. 56% owned, still over half the leagues. That a lot of you still out there in championships. I'm sure he's out there on a roster or two. Somebody might have added him for that Colorado start, been like, 9 strikeouts. But anyone can go out there and strike out 9 against Colorado. I think Matt, you and I could do it. But against San Diego, tougher team. Matt, you nailed it there. So I'm just gonna grab this last guy. Let's talk about Taj Bradley. Another younger pitcher that's, kind of struggling to the finish line this year. When Taj got the call, he was like a house on fire. Once again, went off for about a month or even maybe 2. His last start was good against Toronto. I think he lines up against Detroit this week. I just want to double check that. So the opponent yeah. What's that, Matt?
It doesn't look that way.
Oh, yeah, let's double check here. Boston, at Boston. No, that's a tough matchup, man. That's an interleague. Boston's going to want to show out here at the end of the season. I don't think I could do it, man. I don't think I could throw Taj Bradley out there in that start. Besides the last one before that, I can't even. So Taj Bradley's last good start before the one on September 22nd was all the way back on July 25th. If that doesn't tell you enough right there, I don't know what to tell you. I'm out. 10 on Bradley too. I'm super excited about next year. I'm super excited about Taj Bradley for next year, but I can't do it this weekend.
It all depends for me. Bradley is somebody that I'm going to hold for the whole week, and I'm going to see how it's going to play out for my week because he could be my ace in the hole that will blow up and at least give me the strikeouts. I trust him to at least not have a 5.6 ERA. I could have if he walks away with a 4 or 5 ERA. I'm not mad at it as long as it comes with, 7, 8 strikeouts. Whereas Walker Buehler could have, 8 strikeouts, but like a 10 or 15 ERA. So like Taj is somebody I kind of want to rely on going into it because there is decisions to be made, right? Like, okay, cool. I can't catch him in ERA. So who gives a living crap? Let's go with Taj Bradley and just try and go get Ks. And then hopefully his whip isn't bad and I could bring that down. Or even maybe he can go out and get the win. Because it doesn't matter how many runs you give up. It's just a matter of did you have the lead through 5 innings and through the 5th inning, and then you're pretty much gold. So Taj Bradley essentially just has to do that for you, and he can still be a contributor this week. So I'm not really dropping him. I'm kind of holding him, and ultimately that's really where it's at. But guys, this is the final week of the season. Thank you guys for all being here. I'm happy to see everybody who commented made the championship because of us, and because of your awesomeness. Congratulations to John again. And guys,
huge shout out to you, John. Man, it was a battle. Wouldn't have rather gone down anyway. Happy that you won, brother.
I feel like he beat you 9-1, but I'm just throwing that out there.
Oh yeah, no, he gave it to me. It was a tough week.
Yeah, you got the business. I'm still walking funny. But anyway, guys, please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review. Check out our boy Sully over at Locked On MLB. He's awesome, covers the whole league. You're going to want your playoff information. And then, guys, also, if you need some football information or some fantasy football stuff, check me out at Fantasy Turf Wars. Guys, have a great rest of your day. Peace.
Sure.